It's Monday, November 25th, 2019. Digital Trends Live is about to start here. Some of the topics we'll cover today. Uber is dealing with another blow today as the City of London has canceled its license to operate, citing a, quote, pattern of failures. We'll discuss what this means for ride-sharing service, and we'll debut a new segment on today's episode called Awesome Tech with our own Drew Prindle, where he'll cover such awesome things as Mello, a personal sous vide machine. And we've also got some great guests on the show, such as David Snyder, the co-founder and CEO of Harness Wealth, who will tell us about their digital platform for financial management. Plus, a new law about distracted driving in the EU is being considered in many places worldwide, and a company called Eyesight Technologies is developing an in-car AI that will be able to detect distracted driving and alert appropriate authorities. All that and more on today's edition of Digital Trends Live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Thanksgiving week. It is Monday here at Digital Trends Live, where we broadcast live every single day, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and more. And we are live in our Samsung QLED 4K studio. Of course, broadcasting across a number of different platforms. We're on Periscope, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Dailymotion, Apple News, LinkedIn, 2 different mobile apps, a smart television app, and at digitaltrends.com/live. So wherever you find us, you can join in the conversation, and that's what we like to do here. This is interactive. We want to know your thoughts on the tech topics that we bring up. But to start off, I'm Greg Nibbler here with Adrian Warner. Hello, Adrian.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Thanksgiving week to you.
It is Thanksgiving week. Yes, indeed. So it's coming up, but the tech world does not stop. Of course, Black Friday, coming up. But before that, there's a lot of other things to talk about.
That's true. We have a lot of things to get to today.
Let's hit it right out of the gate here, though, and talk about this Uber story. So this is the newest development in a line of things that have been happening for Uber, and we'll kind of cover a little bit of that here in a minute. But yeah, so Uber right now being announced that they have lost their license to operate in the City of London. That's huge. This is Uber's biggest base in the EU as far as where they're operating right now, and this is actually the result of a series of issues that Uber has had in relation to London's Transport for London. That's the authorities that run that side of London. So as far as who gives out the licenses, they said that they had first suspended Uber's license in 2017, but then through appeals and different regulations, they were able to keep on operating. But now they are saying that they are suspended again. They are appealing, so they can still operate right now. So if you're going to London, you can still actually order an Uber. But unless they make some drastic changes, the potential is they could completely lose their license to operate in the City of London, which is a huge development for them.
Yeah, huge market for them, so it'd be a huge blow to the company. The Transportation for London, the authority group that you mentioned, cited multiple instances and patterns of failure for failing to operate safely on Uber's part, including drivers who were unauthorized but signed up as authorized drivers and were essentially picking up riders and giving them uninsured rides.
Wow, yeah, that's not good. That is not something that you expect, because you do expect there's this, verification process to make sure that you're getting somebody who's safe, or at least who's verified as a new driver.
Who is at least verified as, exactly, a new driver. It allowed pickup riders as though they were booked the driver in at least 14,000 trips. So it sounds like some sort of miscommunication allowed the driver to appear as though they had given many rides before.
Wow. Okay, so deception on top of it just not being verified. So there's those issues, and that's what London is looking at. But looking at this from an even bigger picture, what does this mean for other cities where they've had a lot of issues going on already? You also have the state of California, which is passing that law regarding whether or not that all gig economy employees essentially, or contractors, should be considered employees, which would have a huge impact on Uber's business, especially when you have a state as big as California that can influence everyone else. You have New Jersey issuing a $649 million fine to Uber. They are appealing that, but still, that's just one state issuing that fine over labor issues, and now you have the City of London threatening to kick them out of London, essentially. So Uber has some major issues on its hands, and if this passes in California, other states will certainly most likely follow suit. California's a leader. I would guess that some other places will. You see the fine with New Jersey. Other states could do that, and with the City of London being so big, other cities could follow suit and actually threaten to kick Uber out of their cities. So what are they going to do and how they're going to handle it? That's kind of one of these big things, and I feel like this upcoming year is going to be huge for ride-sharing services, because what Uber does, Lyft will inevitably be a part of. I think Lyft kind of skates by a little bit because, I mean, they do have different policies. Let's make sure
Right.
they're definitely separate companies. But
it's definitely been less in the hot seat
Yeah.
than Uber has. For lots of different scandals, obviously throughout the years have come forward in front of Uber and kind of gotten the best of them. So yeah, exactly as you said, it will be interesting to see different regulations that take place in different states and how those roll out and kind of the waterfall effect that comes through from those.
Yeah. There's a lot that's going to be happening, and that's why this year, just in ride-sharing services, as we start getting towards the end of 2019, 2020 is going to be the year that a lot of this is decided and or changed. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of discussions when it comes to Uber and just the gig economy in general, but Uber certainly being one of the biggest ones out there. They're going to face the brunt of this. Again, partially due to changing maybe social opinions about the gig economy, but also due to some of their own issues, like not verifying that their drivers are safe. So they've certainly brought a lot of this upon themselves as well. But it's a big, huge discussion about that, and it's going to change up a lot of how we interact with gig economy companies as we go forward. But definitely interesting, something to follow along with. So that's the latest thing. This appeal could go through, and maybe that license will be maintained. I'm going to guess they'll figure out some kind of a solution, but still, it's another sign going forward.
Yeah, it's exactly like London takes its transportation very, very seriously and takes its taxi regulations very seriously. So I'm not surprised to see this come out of London. And I also very curious that you mentioned the United States, but other EU countries and seeing how they're going to operate as well.
Yeah, definitely something to follow along with, and you can stay up to date with that at digitaltrends.com and let us know, what you think about that as we go through. All right, we have to get some other news here though to talk about. There's another trending story right now, and it has to do with a phone rumor. Phone rumors are always huge. This one is with Motorola though. Now the Motorola Razr that they announced, their actual foldable screen Razr that is going to be coming out, looks pretty cool. Very expensive, $1,500. Yeah, but definitely a cool use of foldable technology. And now we're getting some patents that have come out for something that they filed actually last year.
Yeah, back in May 2018. It sounds like the patent has just been approved and shows touch features along the sides of the Motorola Razr 2. Now, this is hot on the heels of the Motorola Razr that just came out. And these side activations could, it's different sensors that activate different functionalities. So depending on whether the device is open or closed, it could do different things. Actions like swiping, gesturing, squeezing could activate different parts of the phone, like camera or Google Assistant. Things that we're kind of used to on a smart device these days, but we haven't really seen in foldable technology yet.
Yeah, there's I think once you get to a screen that's going to wrap around like that, and again, these are renderings based off of patents, and this is showcasing the actual commercial for the Motorola Razr. But if we take a look at some of the patents that came out themselves, and some of these renderings of this, so this is a site called Let's Go Digital. They're really good at getting a hold of patents and then making their own renderings. So we don't know if this is exactly what's going to happen, but taking a look at them, it's showcasing some of the other uses of this foldable technology, and that's what I think is exciting going forward. Now that we've got, the Samsung Galaxy Fold came out, you have the Huawei Fold, and whatever you want to think about those as successes or not, they are out, and they were the first ones to really mass market these. Now we have these other companies that are following suit, and this is when it gets exciting, because this is when we get to see all kinds of innovation and competition when it comes to the foldable devices. So these side screens are just kind of an example of other things that we could be getting. So the way it works is on this, if you have the device completely folded out, there's 4 on each side. You double them up, and when you fold it, of course, and then you can use 2 at a time. So different ways that we could have shortcuts on these foldable devices, different things that you can see being utilized with them. I think it's pretty exciting when it comes to the innovation side. It's got to get a lot less than $1,500 per phone before I'm going to be in the market for one personally. I feel like a lot of people would feel the same way.
Yep.
But something like this, showcasing this kind of innovation, I mean, it does show where we can go with foldable devices.
Can't wait to see all of the gestures and activations that will go off in people's pockets when they have sensors on the side of their phone.
Yeah, how do you lock it?
Yeah.
They did showcase on that one where there is they think that there maybe will be an in-screen fingerprint reader, so probably we'll probably see more of that
they
as well.
probably thought of that. I would assume so, or if not, we'll see.
Yeah, and again, that's just taking a look at what these patent renders are, but it's fun stuff. That's why this stuff always trends when it's out there, because we want to see some of this innovation, different things that are going to be done with foldable screens. You can check that out at digitaltrends.com. All right, continue on. One other thing that's definitely trending, and that is the Cybertruck. Cybertruck being announced.
Going strong.
Still going strong. Announced last week, and there's, we've all seen the
Mixed
images
reactions, right.
of it. Right, yeah. We've all seen the images of it. We've all seen the videos of it, and it's definitely been divisive, but Elon Musk is fighting back, in his words, against some of the people who were detracting from it, saying that they have received 200,000 pre-orders since it was announced on Thursday. Now, that's today. This is Monday, November 25th, so it's probably going to go up.
Right.
A couple of things. So, one, the pre-order is only $100. We can put down $100.
Anybody can put, and it's refundable as well.
And it's refundable.
However, this does mean essentially for the company that fans have backed the Cybertruck to the tune of 20 million in the first weekend of pre-sales. So even though many people may not follow through with it, it is showing good signs for reactions to the Cybertruck.
Yes, it is. Although that 20 million is all refundable. Like, that could go away.
It could just go away.
I do think, there's certainly people that are going to be purchasing it. Now, one of the other videos we just showcased right there, too, was a video Elon Musk posted of the Cybertruck pulling an F-150 up a hill, which, as the F-150 is in full gear, you can see it, and it's spinning its wheels. But that's something that, we're going to see more and more competition come up for these EV trucks, and that's what again, the innovation is pretty cool. Whether you like the design of the Cybertruck or not, it's still pretty cool.
Well, General Motors announced its 2021 pickup, hot in the heels of the announcement of the Cybertruck, and then Ford is actually going to be putting out an electric truck kind of in that same class of the F-150 as well. So it's going to get really competitive, really, really fast.
Yeah, and pickups are the fastest growing and largest sale of U.S. auto sales. So this is something that, if you can make a solid electric vehicle and convince that market to buy into it, you could really do well. And since everybody else is going in on it now, I love the idea that, whether it's Elon Musk with Tesla or Rivian or whoever else you want to give the credit for pushing the limit on this and getting these major manufacturers in, it's still cool for all of us because you get to see innovations with electric vehicles. But you also have ones that are designed to look like the Tesla Cybertruck,
Which every time I look at it, I'm like, is that a computer render?
Yeah, right. It does. It looks like there's some great memes out there.
Oh, absolutely, excellent ones.
But then you have the F-150 that's probably going to look more like a Ford F-150 and just have an E on it or however they decide to classify it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's going to be one of these big deciding factors because internally that Cybertruck is pretty beefy. It's actually stacks up really well with the F-150, if not better in some categories. So. And
you can get that beefy truck. It'll be available in matte black.
Oh, really?
It was also announced, yeah.
Okay, I missed that. So the Cybertruck's going to be
Cybertruck, matte black? Yeah, will also come in matte black in addition to silver.
All right. God, now
now it'll just look like the Batmobile.
I was going to say it's going to look more and more like the Batmobile.
Correct.
So that's something that you can see. I mean, if they end up with some kind of I don't know, a jet escape pod or something like that in this thing, now I'm really getting on board with this. If it comes with its own jetpack, I'll put down my $100.
If it comes with a motorcycle that ejects from the Cybertruck that's also electric powered,
right,
I might be in.
It's got the ATV already that you're going to be able to order. So that side part he did include that. So.
Thinking of that market.
Yeah, and all this is just exciting stuff. So you can, again, read more about it at digitaltrends.com and check out all the info we have on the Cybertruck right there. Final thing has to do with delivery robots.
The invasion.
Yep. And this is something we're going to see more and more from a number of different companies. Everybody's working on the delivery robots, but FedEx making a scene in New York over the last few days because they put these out onto the street. These are their FedEx Roxos.
Mm-hmm. Part of their same-day bots. Yeah, they're trying to partner with different same-day delivery markets. So stores that they partner with, such as Target, Walgreens, and Walmart. Apparently, this was unauthorized. Testing and rollout in Lower Manhattan, and caused quite a storm at the mayor's office.
Yeah. The mayor actually wrote, de Blasio said, first of all, at FedEx, never get a robot to do a New Yorker's job.
What a New York response.
Right. We have the finest workers in the world. Second of all, we didn't grant permission for these to clog up our streets. So, yeah, a lot of people were not very excited about the fact that these are rolling around. But we're going to see it more.
We're going to see more and more. I'm waiting for them to come to Portland. I haven't seen any here yet.
Yeah, there's been some tests, but no, not of these FedEx ones. And there's so many different companies working on
So
this.
many of them.
Like right now on college campuses, that's where there's a lot of college campuses that are using delivery robots.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because they can just deliver the food straight there, and plus it's not on city streets, so they don't have to go through the same regulations. But yeah, these ones being on New York streets, this is a great test to see how people react. And so far,
it's also a great test to see how they can navigate with all kinds of
yeah,
strange things coming across, and the sensors all around the robots, avoiding obstacles.
Right.
Shall we say?
like a kick, which is going to happen in New York when you're rolling around a site. Somebody's going to kick that.
Get out of my way.
Yeah, it's definitely going to happen. And the city of New York said that yesterday that if they see him on the streets, they're going to bring him
Arrest
in.
them?
Yeah, I don't know, bring him in.
Citizens arrest.
Yeah, we'll
maybe?
get to test the GPS capabilities on these. I don't know, but it's definitely an interesting development, and we're going to see more and more of that with these delivery robots. But something cool to follow along with, and that is what we have for the news right now. So. We've got all these stories at Digital Trends. You can follow along with everything. We've got interviews coming up. We've got Drew Prindle's awesome tech here in a bit. But since we're interactive, we want to talk to you about social media coming up next. So we're going to take a break. We've got Read 'em and Weep, which we haven't done for a little
We
while.
haven't done for a while. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, we'll take a look at what some of your comments are and some comments from across the internet as well. So all that's happening right after this. Stick around back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live.
Apollo 11, your go for separation.
TV is making history again. The groundbreaking Samsung QLED 8K.
Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Again, thank you for joining us. We broadcast live here every weekday at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. And it is now time for some Read 'em and Weep. I'm Greg Nibbler here with Adrian Warner. Let's take a look at some comments. And we do not see these comments live until you see them as well. So that's what part of the fun of this section is.
Oh, yes.
Let's take a look here on Facebook regarding ESA wants to put astronauts into hibernation space travel. Outer Worlds should have taught us that this is a bad idea. They'll wake up to Amazon running the cosmos. Yeah, that is something that we had a report about a doctor who is working on, or actually they are testing this out, about actually putting people into suspended animation.
Yes. Yeah. They the Guardian broke that pretty recently, right?
Yeah. So this, I mean, I could see, I think waking up to Amazon running the cosmos, yeah, that could be, there's a number of examples from sci-fi of why this is a bad idea.
Yeah, there's many reasons too why you may not want to put yourself into that state for the horrors of the future.
But yeah, I can understand that, David. I have not played Outer Worlds yet.
I've seen a little bit of it. We were playing it in our Samsung gaming setup studio.
Oh,
and
nice.
Yeah, it was pretty fun, but I haven't really gotten to the crux of the story, so all I can tell is it just seems like Fallout in space.
Perfect. That's a perfect description. All right, Fallout in space. Well, thank you for that comment. All right, we got Glenn.
We got Glenn Scott regarding inside the Bollinger B1 electric truck. Tesla Cybertruck beater. I ordered 2 Cybers. This dude lost all cred in the first 15 seconds. Wow, 2.
Okay, so again,
That's a big flex, Glenn.
This is why it's $200
Right,
refundable
exactly.
that he just said that he ordered. I mean, that's why I'm not really putting a lot of stock in Elon's 200,000 pre-orders for the Cybertruck. I mean, it's all refundable. I could order, we could order.
Yeah, we
some
could
right
all
now.
order some Cybertrucks.
Yeah, we could all
today.
order this. Everybody order a Cybertruck. But this dude lost all cred in the first 15 seconds. I'm not sure who was this. Probably Adam.
Adam or Ron?
I'm not sure who did this video. Oh, it was Adam. It was Adam's video. All right. Well, Adam, I know will actually address your comments. So go ahead and write him directly. He will definitely do it. But that's talking about the Bollinger B1. So that is another competitor for those Cybertrucks.
Yeah, which I guess you can't pre-order.
All right, Tony Goldenberg, Tony 345. This is how it starts. Cute little umbrella that follows you everywhere. Then it gets the smarts down and is sold to police or military. For God knows what, this is not going to end up well for citizens.
Oh yeah, I've seen this little social video that we have up on Twitter. It's this little robotic umbrella that follows you so that you don't have to use your hand to hold it up, which, you know what? Really useful. Have you ever tried to navigate the city streets in text and hold up an umbrella at the same time? Very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. I get, man. So would you use this? You would use this?
I think I would use this. It's really, I'm like really a fan of any kind of like cute personal robot. So.
Yeah. All right, I can see that. I mean, the other thing for me is I don't think I would use an umbrella because I still stick
Oh,
to
you're too hardcore Portland.
the Portland thing. Yeah, where it's like, no, only people from out of town use umbrellas.
I do love the capitalization of God knows what. Thank
God
you, Tony.
knows what. Yeah, but you're right. That's probably true. Although,
Probably.
I mean, I've seen the video of this. It's not that accurate. Like, you have to move really slowly in
Yeah,
order to
you
make sure
do.
that it's still there. But, hey, maybe.
All right, some more heat about the Cybertruck.
Yeah, Jonathan Flick, 2021 Tesla Cybertruck versus 2019 Ford F-150. Absolutely no one who currently owns, wants to someday own, or even used to own a Ford F-150 would ever choose this toddler in a fever-induced delirium designed thing over a real truck. While the technology is definitely remarkable, the looks and physical design are unforgivable.
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 Something tells me that Jonathan is a, expert in industrial design.
I mean, I think this is the thing, though. There's a lot of Jonathans out there.
There are a lot of Jonathans, and you know what? It's a little bit founded because it is so wild, but
Yeah.
I'd say, like, if you're going to be one of the pioneers of, Cybertruck technology, is that what we're even going to call it? You might as well put a crazy design out there and get people's attention.
I do like the toddler in a fever-induced delirium designed. That's solid.
It's true. Yeah, I could see
solid.
like this on somebody's like crayon drawing on a on a fridge, the Cybertruck.
Yeah. The physical design are unforgivable.
Unforgivable.
All right. Well, Jonathan, thank you. Thank you for your opinions on that.
Thanks for
We
your
will
opinion on
pass those
Facebook.
on to Elon ourselves and make sure that he's aware of that.
All right,
Okay. You want
Stefan, regarding big subwoofer versus small subwoofer comparison, I am looking to set up 5.1 floor standing speakers for my living room. I'm looking to put the floor standing speaker against the wall, so I'm trying to avoid ports in the back and looking for white color. Any Rex? Love your reviews and your passion for TV and music.
All right.
All right. I personally don't have recommendations, so this might be a little bit of a miss. But
I have none. Yeah. Yeah. Nope.
you can hit up anybody in our AV department. Shout out to them on Twitter. Caleb or Ryan probably are your best bet.
That's probably a Ryan video, I'm going to guess. Ryan Juanita video talking about speakers. Yeah. He will tell you exactly what he thinks
will tell
about
you
those.
very many opinions.
Yes. All the opinions that you need or direction refer to Ryan Juanita at digitaltrends.com. Yeah, but that's great. Love your reviews and your passion for TV and music. That is true. They're both very passionate about that.
Zenith the Hound tweeted at us, sometimes you have to use both beds for optimal comfort. Monday morning dogs of Twitter. I don't even know why.
This is tailor-made for you.
This is great. I'm so happy. Sometimes you do have to use both beds for comfort. I have so many dog beds.
Really?
Yeah, my
Charlie?
boyfriend makes fun of me. Yeah, for Charlie. So there's like now there's like two in each room. There used to be one in each room, and now there's definitely two.
Because Charlie
in each
needed
room.
more beds.
He needs more beds.
It just made sense. Well, that's what the internet's for, right? Dogs of Twitter. I
of
mean, that's
internet.
exactly what it's for. So,
Exactly.
all right. Well, thank you everybody for your posts. And again, we're taking a look, across the web at different posts that people have, and that is what we do there for part of Read 'em and Weep. But we continue on with today's show. Before I talk about what's coming up next, though, I want to say thank you, Adrian.
Thank you for having me.
Always fun.
Always
and,
a pleasure.
And we appreciate everybody who tunes in to this show to talk about all the different things that we get to cover here. So coming up next, we're going to talk about Internet of Things. So we have the Vice President of Strategy for the IoT Services Group for ARM. Charlene Marini, who's going to be joining us next to talk about that. She was at the IoTC Next conference, and there's a lot to cover with the future of the Internet of Things and how really awesome it is and how everything's getting integrated and how that's happening. But we can also take your comments as we go through the show. So drop those in on whatever platform you are. Thanks everybody joining us on YouTube. I see a lot of comments coming through there. Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever you're on. We do appreciate it. So we'll be back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live.
Apollo 11, your go for separation.
TV is making history again. The groundbreaking Samsung QLED 8K.
Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you for joining us today. We broadcast live here every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. So hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you're on. And we are live, so we're interactive. We can take your comments and questions as we go through the show. And as always, we like to talk about cutting-edge technology. And certainly the Internet of Things definitely counts as that category. And there's a lot to discuss with that. To do that, though, right now, we have Charlene Marini joining us from ARM, the Vice President of Strategy for the IoT Services Group. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to talk about Internet of Things and get your opinions on where we're going with everything. But can you give everybody just an understanding of what ARM is, in case they don't know, and how prevalent you are in this category?
Yeah, sure. ARM comes from a heritage of designing processors, and in particular, processors from very tiny low-power processors all the way through to server-class processors. And we have a different business model. So we design those processors, and then we work with chip companies who implement the processors. And because of that, you'll see ARM processors in virtually anything in your environment. So to give an example, hair dryers that you use in the restroom, mobile phones, SIM cards, just about anything you could imagine. Our partners shipped 22 billion ARM-based processing chips last year. And out in the world, there's over 150 billion ARM-based processor chips, powering intelligence in almost everything we do.
That's pretty incredible. 22 billion different products out there. And it makes you think, too, you just mentioned hair dryers, just how much of our products need processing power now. And it's just going to become more and more a necessary item no matter what it is as we see the Internet of Things expand. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that, how we're seeing things change right now and what kind of integrated abilities that we're starting to see with our products.
Yeah, so what we're starting to see, of course, is connectivity coming into chips that recently were not connected. And with that, the ability to process more in terms of machine learning type algorithms. And so what this does as a whole in terms of the intelligence of our environment, it means that there needs to be a life cycle, that a chip no longer is shipped and lives in a device and you kind of ship and forget. Now it's you ship and you need to maintain that device, you need to upgrade that device, you need to provide more intelligence into that device. So it becomes more of a living thing in our environment.
Is that something where we're going to have to physically replace the chip to keep it upgraded as technology advances, or would it be like a software update?
Yeah, that's exactly what we don't want, right? We don't want to have to replace the chip. So software has now evolved to provide over-the-air updates and the ability to maintain the functionality and grow the functionality without having to physically engage and kind of go out with a USB stick, which is the old way of doing it. So that automated intelligence is really enabling us to move forward with the Internet of Things.
Talking about, utilizing, you have your ARM chips and all of these different devices that are going out there, is there, and you mentioned connectivity, is there a platform being developed as far as all of these devices communicating with each other, or is that part of what these chips would enable, to maintain that? Because you think about all these different smart devices, how are they all working together, and is that something that we're seeing going forward?
Yeah, we believe it needs to be designed in from the beginning, given that heritage all the way down to the silicon, especially around connectivity, around security. Having it designed in at the beginning enables interoperability. And that interoperability, as you mentioned, can then be maintained and evolve through software. And so having common standards in which a device connects and then in which a device is managed is very important. And so one of the things we've done over the past few years is develop that software to enable that standard way to have a secure connection and secure manageability of those devices.
So you mentioned security, and that's definitely something that I feel like a lot of people are going to be concerned with. And along those lines, what are some of the challenges that some of your customers, I mean, you mentioned you have so many out there, what are some of the general themes and challenges that they're seeing right now as we move closer and closer into more IoT devices?
Yeah, I think first and foremost is the complexity in implementing security because you're dealing with devices, you're dealing with systems, and so it's combining that physical world and that IT world together. And I think we're all pretty comfortable with security in an IT world in terms of what it takes. But now matching that with the physical world, the complexity increases astronomically. So what we've been doing with our partners is enabling security within the chip, creating common standards so that application developers from the software world have common ways in which they can access the security capabilities in the hopes that then those security capabilities will be widely used. Because I think the biggest barrier we have as an industry is that the security capabilities that are built in aren't necessarily easy for application developers to use, and so then they don't get used. So let's make it easy.
That's interesting. Yeah, that if it's too complicated, people aren't going to understand how to utilize it as it is. Yeah, that's a huge issue. Looking at this, again, since you get to see such a broad view of everything that's going on in this field, looking at some of the trends, what are some of the trends that you're seeing developing now that maybe by the end of next year or in the next coming years that we'll see when it comes to Internet of Things?
Yeah, I think the most exciting one is bringing in the human. So for years, we've talked about Internet of Things, and it's been about things, rightly so, and efficiencies and kind of machine to machine. But I think the most interesting trend we're starting to see is now looking at the experience of us as individuals, as customers, and that customer experience and consumer experience being combined to enable a better overall product by combining that physical insight and that physical data. So things like intelligent products, areas around autonomy, so robots and how we engage with robots, even things like automated driving and driving assistance, right? How do we make that more personal to the user instead of being a flat machine capability?
So personalized learning, essentially, based upon what each user is doing. That's a pretty, definitely takes a lot of processing power to manage that, but that's something that, yeah, you're right, I feel like a lot of people want. They want that personal touch and not have just a flat general thing that somebody does, but adapts over time. Looking at that too, I wanted to bring up, I know you have your Pelion platform. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, so Pelion addresses what we feel are the two strongest fundamental needs of IoT. One is being able to deploy secure devices and enable a lifetime of use of that device. Back to the point we discussed earlier, let's not have truck rolls, let's not have USB sticks. Scale really requires that secure deployment in an automated way. And then secondly, being able to utilize the data from devices. I think we all underestimate when you have millions of devices in a deployment, the data that is coming in from those devices, not just the amount of data, but the quality of the data, and bringing that all together so it can be insightful and so it can be acted upon. It is a challenge for the industry and for customers that we find. So enabling that connectivity, that
Looks like we had just a little bit of an issue on a microphone there as Charlene was wrapping up. But I want to say, oh wait, okay, so we got it right here. Yeah, sorry, talking about live technology happening right here. So well, Charlene, I just want to say thank you very much for joining us too to talk about this. It's definitely an exciting industry, and certainly ARM's at the forefront of that. For people out there who want to learn more, where should I direct them to go online?
www.arm.com is a great place to find out more.
All right, well, Charlene, thank you so much for joining us here on Digital Trends Live.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. So again, talking about the Internet of Things and just how important that is and that interconnectivity that she was bringing up when it comes to different devices. I mean, that's huge, and how that all develops, and that's the software it's going to take to make that happen. All right. Let's continue on here with the show. We have Mr. Drew Prindle who's going to join us coming up here after this break for a new segment on this show. It's called Awesome Tech, and I can't say it any other way but that. So Drew is going to be joining us here in just a minute to talk about some really cool things that he has discovered. So we'll walk through those products, all that and more coming up on Digital Trends Live.
Apollo 11, your go for separation.
TV is making history again. The groundbreaking Samsung QLED 8K.
Hello, this is Digital Trends Live. Thank you for joining us. And again, we broadcast live here every weekday, bringing you all kinds of tech headlines, news, interviews, and discussions. And we got a new segment we are debuting here today, and it's called Awesome Tech. I have to say it that way. I'm Greg Nibbler, here with Drew Prindle. Drew, thanks.
How's it going, man?
Good. So I'm excited about this. Now, this has been a feature on our site for a while, but I want to give everybody just kind of, long time. To give everybody just kind of an overview, can you explain what Awesome Tech is and what you're looking for when you're finding awesome tech?
Yeah, so the full name of the column that I've been doing for 6 years now.
6 years!
Which is just insane. It's called Awesome Tech You Can't Buy It, because this is all stuff that I find on crowdfunding websites like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, which you can like pledge money toward, but technically you can't actually like buy them and have them delivered to your house like the next day.
Gotcha. So these could be things that are going to actually happen, or maybe
sometimes they don't make it to market. Sometimes they just don't follow through with the project and it just dies. So it's kind of iffy, but in my opinion, a lot of the most innovative gear in tech is coming to these crowdfunding sites first. That's where all of the freshest ideas are.
Well, let's talk about some of them. We've got a few products we're going to walk through, and that's what we'll do here every time on this segment, since Drew is scouring the crowdfunding sites to find the awesomest stuff. Let's talk about Mellow here to start off.
All right, so this is the Mellow Duo is what it's called. So Mellow, it came out a few years ago, and basically what it is, it's a sous vide cooker. Like if you haven't heard of sous vide, anybody who's watching, it's basically this new age way of cooking food in a hot water bath. It basically allows you to cook some of the best, most perfectly medium rare steaks and proteins that you've like ever had. It's amazing. The cool thing about this one is that in addition to heating your food, it also has the ability to keep it cool, and it's also connected to the internet. So the idea is that you could drop in a steak at like in the morning and then go to work, and like it's going to keep it cool and refrigerated all day. And then when you are like coming home, you tap a button on your phone and it starts cooking before you get back. And by the time that you get home, you've got this steak that all you need to do is sear on a couple sides and it's ready to go.
Okay.
So that was the original one. They've now come out with a bigger and badder version that has 2 separate chambers, so you can cook like a protein and some vegetables, or you can just cook like in a bigger, huge vat and make like enough food to feed a whole family.
Is it one of those things where you just set it and be like, I've got a steak of this size, like
Yeah,
cook it?
the app is super like intuitive and easy to use. You just literally tell it like how big the steak is, how much it weighs, how thick it is, and it'll figure out the perfect way to cook it from wall to wall, just like medium rare.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So the first one actually did come out.
Yeah, it's already out right now. It had some issues shortly after launch where it like wasn't keeping food. Like it was kind of in the danger zone for too long.
Yeah, that's not good.
But then they changed all they had to do was change the software, and they completely fixed that issue. It's one of the better sous vide cookers on the market, in my opinion.
So the Duo, and that's something, again, it's awesome tech you can't buy yet, so you can pledge to it right now.
Yes.
Is it still in the funding stage, or is
Yes,
it been, okay.
pretty recently launched.
Okay, all right, so you can check that out. And again, we've got links to all of this at digitaltrends.com too, so you can go there and find out more information when it comes to the awesome tech you can't buy yet. So that's the Mellow Duo. Let's go on to some robots. Let's talk about a robotic cat toy.
Oh yeah, what's this one called again? Ebo.
The Ebo?
Oh yeah, this one is crazy. So like robotic cat toys for some reason have had like a renaissance in like the past couple years, especially on Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Like there's a ton of them. And they're all like kind of based around the same idea, which is like we use like some sort of AI to have very lifelike, like mouse-like movement, so it'll make your cat want to chase it more. And those things are honestly like a dime a dozen. But this one, it just takes that formula and just cranks the dial up to 11. It's ridiculous. It has so many different features. Like A, it can run around like a mouse. B, it has a laser pointer built in, so it can mess with your cat. You can control the laser pointer remotely with an app as well.
Okay.
It also has a built-in camera, so you can see your cat giving chase to the thing and kind of like save the video, share them on Instagram, do whatever you want to do. What else? It has a SLAM system, simultaneous location and mapping. So while it's running around, it's not just like a Roomba and stupid and just bounces off everything and like all your furniture or whatever. It's actually making a map in real time of all of its surroundings and then planning its route.
Planning ways to mess with the cat.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I love
this
that.
is like, it's almost like needlessly advanced. It's super impressive.
That sounds actually amazing. Like I would actually like to see this in use just to mess with the
I'm
cat.
really curious like how much like your cat would actually want to chase it. Like,
Yeah.
I
Does it make like other sounds and things like that? Like
I feel like it would, like for some cats it would just like weird them out and they'd be like, what is this annoying piece
Right.
of crap? Get it out of my house. I don't know.
I like the idea that it's scanning your cat's face too, so it knows where your cat is. All right, well that's the Ebo robotic cat toy.
Yes.
So that's something that's still it's in the funding.
All of
these are in
things-
the funding
Yeah,
stage.
when I bring them up when they're on this show, you can rest assured that they have recently launched on Kickstarter.
Okay.
Because like I'm looking at these every single week, and I can't use the ones that I did the previous week, so they're almost always like super new and fresh.
So it's always going to be new stuff for awesome tech you can't buy yet. All right, got the Ebo robotic cat toy. Let's go on to the this advanced bike tracker. I see that you have C-Sense.
Yeah. So the idea behind this thing is that it's basically like low jack for your bike.
Okay.
Which is not a new idea. There are all kinds of like existing bike security or like retrieval systems out there, but the
Yeah.
problem is lots of them, like the early ones, relied on like Bluetooth, so they had extremely limited range and you had to stay pretty close to your bike.
Yeah, that would suck. I mean, if it was stolen, like, there's no way.
Yeah, then there was like an evolution like a couple years after that where like they started using like LTE and GPS, but the problem with those systems is that you had to pay like a monthly subscription service in order for that to like
Oh,
work
dang.
and for you to be able to like locate your bike whenever you want to. So it was just like an extra cost. Then there were some other weird ones where it was like a proprietary app, but it could work and you didn't have to pay like a fee, but it only worked if there were like a lot of other people in your city on that same app.
Yeah.
So it wasn't super practical, but this one is different. It uses a technology called narrowband IoT, which gives it way more range. It's basically like super extended Bluetooth,
Okay.
more or less, and really basically it gives you the best of both worlds. So it's long distance tracking, no monthly subscription fee, and it's pretty reasonably priced on Kickstarter.
Yeah, no monthly subscription fee is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to track it down like that. So this one, so this is called the C-Sense Air.
Yes.
C-Sense Air Advanced Bike Tracking. All right, that's That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's exciting because narrowband IoT has been around for a while. I think they finalized the like wireless communications like standard of it in 2016, but we haven't really seen it in a lot of devices, and this is one of the first ones.
So this is something, yeah, maybe we could see more in some other projects. So
Yeah,
this one looks like it funded, actually, just did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hit its goal
Yeah,
already?
it hit its goal. But you can still pledge, it looks like.
Yeah,
so it's not too bad. I mean, if you compare it to missing a bike,
Yeah, totally.
like this is something that, yeah, I would want to track down my bike.
It's like find your iPhone for your bike, basically.
Nice.
Like, it would let you know like right away, like, hey, your bike is moving. You
Yeah.
should probably like do something about that if it's
You're not
you.
on it, yeah. All right, so that's the C-Sense. And then we have Epilogue, so it's an epilepsy tracking wearable.
Yeah, this one was really interesting. First of all, arguably the best name ever.
Yeah, Epilogue.
That's super clever. Oh God, kudos to you guys who made that up. But yeah, it's basically a little wearable tracker device that you stick behind your ear, and it monitors your brain waves continuously throughout the day. Well, I guess not continuously. It's like periodic, so it doesn't burn through the battery
Gotcha.
in one go. But by having that kind of like ongoing tracking, it can basically beam that data back to your smartphone and then off to some remote servers where that's analyzed using machine learning algorithms, and then it can over time learn to predict, like more or less forecast if you're going to have an epileptic seizure.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's not FDA approved. It's all super experimental at this point. I think they're just raising funding for some of the first like prototypes and stuff like that. But it's definitely an idea that's worth getting behind. I'm surprised we don't have something like this already.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's such a great use. The more that we see like some of these like biomedical uses when it comes to technology, like that convergence of those two, that's really awesome for people who have epilepsy, or if even you know someone.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you share the data or something with them so that they can be aware that something could be happening.
You're seizing like right in that moment. Like
Yeah.
maybe you should like go over and check on them.
Right,
Like,
go check on them. Or
I'm sure
like
it'll
a
probably
kid.
have that functionality once it launches or if it gets off the ground. The
Yeah,
tricky
send
part
an
about
alert.
this one though is because it's not like a mass market device. It's not made for like everybody. It's made for a very specific use case.
Yeah.
It's not getting a ton of traction on Kickstarter right now or on
Okay.
Indiegogo.
Well, that's cool. That's a great use
Yeah.
of tech. So, so that's
think-
Epilogue.
Yeah.
Epilogue, so epilepsy tracking wearable. All right, final one we have here for awesome tech you can't buy yet for today is a Segway dirt bike.
Yeah.
All right, Drew, tell us about this.
I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's an electric dirt bike.
Nice.
From Segway, like the makers of your mall cop chariots. It's that same company. So
Stars of Paul Blart.
they've kind of branched out into all kinds of other rideable devices in these past few years. Like they make Bird scooters. Bird basically buys all of their scooters from Segway 9bot.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, they make all kinds of weird little robot self-balancing
like a
contraptions.
Segway for a parrot or something.
Yeah, but this is kind of a different direction for them. This is not self-balancing at all. It's just a sweet electric dirt bike that has like nearly 80 miles of range on a single charge.
Dang.
And just like instant torque. It's got like built-in mapping apps and all of this stuff. So it's a super primo looking little dirt bike from a pretty reputable company that has a really good track record of producing good products.
Okay, yeah, that just looks fun. Are you going to get to try one of these out?
Not me personally, but apparently Adam Kazlakowski, our automotive editor, has already got the hookup. We're getting one in like 30 days.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And that's the other thing, because this company is, like, they didn't need to do a Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah.
Or an Indiegogo campaign or whatever it's on. But they did.
They do it just to like gauge interest?
Yeah, I think it is. To gauge interest and to like figure out like how many people, and also, those platforms get a ton of eyeballs on them. So it's a good way for them to just drum up like, easy free PR.
Right, yeah.
And yeah, but that's the cool thing. They don't need this money, so it's going to be produced whether or not this succeeds or fails. So you can just lock one down and get a discount right now because they're offering, discounted rates for people that are like early bird backers.
Awesome. So that's the Segway e-dirt bike.
Yeah, it doesn't have a cool name or anything like that. It's just the e-dirt bike. Dirt e-bike, actually.
Dirt e. Oh, I
The
see.
dirty bike.
I see what they did there. All right. Well, that's the last one here for this segment. So that's the awesome tech you can't buy yet. This is our new segment here that we'll have every week, I believe, here on Digital Trends Live, talking about all this cool stuff that Drew finds. You can read more about all those at digitaltrends.com. 6 years in the making. Now a segment. Now
Finally, a good video segment.
All right, Drew, thank you so much. as always.
Yeah.
Let's continue on here, though. We have a lot to talk about here on the show, and we do appreciate everybody who joins us. Coming up next, talking about Harness Wealth. We've got David Snyder, who's the co-founder and CEO, talking about using technology and digital platforms to manage your finances and different advances in that. We'll talk about their platform in particular and some of the things they're working on, and all that's coming up. We are live. We can take your comments, take your questions. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live.
Apollo 11, your go for separation.
TV is making history again. The groundbreaking Samsung QLED 8K.
This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you for joining us. Hit that subscribe button wherever you're watching. That way we get notifications when we do go live, and you can share the show as well from there. So let's talk about some technology. And in particular, we're going to talk about technology and finances and different ways that we see advancements in digital platforms to manage your finances. To do so right now, we have joining us, we have David Snyder, who's the co-founder and CEO of Harness Wealth. Thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Glad to be here, Greg.
So let's give everybody kind of an overview of what Harness Wealth is. If you can talk about what maybe some of the problems were that you saw in wanting to co-found this and where you've gone since then.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think what's interesting is that in personal financial management, a lot of the greatest innovation have been sort of at the bottom of the pyramid, helping people who are just thinking about investing. And there's a really big segment of the population that sort of falls in the middle, where they've been focused on their career, they've been successful, but now need the insight that someone with $1 billion would have in terms of understanding all of the insight about what they should be doing across not just financial planning, but tax, estate, et cetera. And so we're really focused on trying to bring that ultra high net worth family office type model to the successful professional that needs some insight in helping them to reach their best financial future.
Which is really, talking about that, just seeing some of those issues that were there before and looking at it from a broader picture of financial management on a digital platform. How prevalent is this right now that people are moving toward that kind of wanting to manage their finances in this way?
And that's certainly where the more sophisticated individuals are going. I think with, the 2017 tax law change, with more nuance in the ways that people are compensated, more and more people receiving equity compensation from their job, et cetera. It's just getting complex. And it's not only about finding the right way to allocate your assets, it's also about really understanding the complexity of how all these different things fit together. And so we're focused on having the most bespoke and advanced solutions to help people, regardless of their situation, reach their best financial outcome.
So walking through the use case and how someone signs up and walks through this and what they do in that aspect, can you talk about what that experience is like for your customers?
Absolutely. So would encourage anyone to check out harnesswealth.com. The platform enables you to benchmark your wealth relative to peers of a similar wealth and see what you can or should be doing. It gives the opportunity to go through a short interactive experience and actually recognize kind of where the highest value opportunities may be for you and where it makes sense to connect with some of the best advisors in the country. We on the platform have over 700 advisors spanning these different areas, and their expertise really is limitless in terms of helping people specific to the industry that you work in, the complexity that you may have in your balance sheet, really get to the best possible outcomes.
And it is so complicated, even just seeing, right there, all of those different sources and different things that you need to manage and understand. This would help tremendously, having some kind of a platform that can help you cipher through all that data. Looking at it from some bigger points, because you do have access to so much data and you've seen so much just in this field. I know that you did a survey recently too with the Gen X generation in particular. Can you talk about what some of those findings were that you found from this?
Yeah, so we as a business are very focused on that kind of Gen X plus demographic, the 30 to 50-year-old, really in kind of prime earnings period. And what we found is that nearly 3/4 of individuals in that demographic feel that they have moderate to significant complexity in their own balance sheet. And not surprisingly, with that, almost 80% feel anxiety around financial planning. And so we really have sought to design a platform that helps people with some of the biggest sources of that, the concern that they're not doing enough, or they're missing opportunities, or using the wrong provider. And so that is really where the insight started. I think the other piece that's interesting is 5, 10 years ago, people were very focused on, well, gosh, robo is the future of financial services completely. And I think what we've really seen is that the vast majority of people, I think 85% in our survey in this demographic, do want better technology, insight, visualization of their assets, but they also want the best of human advisory expertise. And so we've really focused on combining those two to build a truly differentiated platform.
So looking at this going forward and talking about the trends of financial technology, where do you see this going in the next couple of years, 3 to 5 years? How do you see technology advancements affecting how we manage our finances?
Yeah, so I think our finances are getting more complex. We ran this survey. The average household in this demographic has 8 to 10 different financial accounts and 10 to 12 different tax statements. And so it's not only about having a single place to aggregate all of your accounts, which you can do on our platform. There are others that do that as well. But figuring out how we can connect that also to the generation of your tax, connecting that to estate planning so that there's no duplication information and you really have end-to-end visibility in the information that is sort of core to your digital life, and you can gain the insights of what you should be doing to get to a better place.
Can you talk about differentiating and harnessing the use of AI versus humans themselves going through the financial data and what some of the values are of each of those?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, artificial intelligence is sort of a catch-all for being able to notice patterns and surface that in a way that humans can actually take action typically based upon that. And so for us, I think the biggest insight is there's so much low-lying opportunity. I mean, the average person coming through our platform is seeing almost $200,000 of incremental value they're not capturing. And that's not in like the micro sense of an algorithmic hedge fund trader. That's in big tax efficient opportunities or ways that with the capital they already have, they can be doing things more efficiently. And so the head of our engineering team spent a decade building equity algorithms at Goldman Sachs. We've got a lot of firepower in the nuance, but really starting with what are the components that are most valuable to individuals that will drive the most incremental benefit to them before getting overly complex just for the sake of what computing power allows us to do.
I like that, just a bit of a balance and utilizing and harnessing all of that data and technology that we have at our fingertips now to better that experience. For everybody out there, I want to again let them know where to go to take a look at Harness Wealth's technology.
Yeah, it's harnesswealth.com, and we've got a tremendous number of resources and tools to help people just begin the process of getting smarter about what they can do to help themselves.
Well, David, thank you so much for joining us here on Digital Trends Live. It's always fun to talk about innovations and different ways that we can use technology to help ourselves out, and certainly managing our finances is a huge one. And thanks for coming on to talk about your company.
My pleasure. Thank you, Greg.
All right, so always learning about technology here on Digital Trends Live, and that is something that's important to all of us, finding out different ways that tech can help our lives out, make it easier, but also make it more beneficial, and that's managing our finances. I mean, that's huge. So harness wealth, that's who we were just talking to right there. We have a lot more coming up here on Digital Trends Live, but we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about some artificial intelligence, different ways that it is being utilized. So I want to talk about that coming up next, some 3 different trending stories in there. We've got more on the way. Stick around, back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live.
Apollo 11, your go for separation.
TV is making history again. The groundbreaking Samsung QLED 8K.
Hello, welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thank you for joining us. I'm Greg Nibbler. It is Monday, and we have some trending tech news that we're going to talk about right now, in particular in the realm of artificial intelligence. So there's 3 different trending stories about AI and how it's being utilized and interacting with you. This is something you could be dealing with pretty soon. So let's start off with this one. This has to do with a new law that's being passed in the EU regarding artificial intelligence in your vehicle. So the EU is doing this, and there's a lot of other countries that are looking at this technology and maybe rolling it out, but it has to do with distracted driving. We know that's a big issue, right? Whether it's phones, they emphasize smoking a lot, is smoking being a big distraction, but smoking, looking at your phone, things that are just keeping your eyes off the road are a huge issue, and they do cause a lot of accidents every single year. Well, the EU, with this proposal, is going to require every vehicle that is in there starting in mid-2022, all new cars on the road are going to have to be equipped with special driver monitoring systems that are capable of telling whether someone is distracted. So this would be in your car, monitoring you as you drive. So there's an example of this guy. He's just rolling along, smoking with his sunglasses on, presumably at night. Yeah, that's not a good idea. But the technology itself is tracking what he's doing. So this is a camera that would be in your car. This is from a company called Eyesight Technologies. So this is their particular solution that they're proposing that would be able to go into these vehicles. So tracking, there it is. So it would track whether your eyes are closed, track whether you're looking other places, all the general distraction things that would come into play with that. It then would be able to notify someone. So this is how they're proposing it. It could notify whether that's transportation authorities and say, hey, this car traveling right here because it knows your location, this guy's distracted, we need to take some action and pull them over. Or it could institute different things to wake you up, whether that's a sound or a notification, and make you more alert or aware of the fact maybe that you're starting to doze off or not paying enough attention to the road. Another thing they looked at, they talked about, if you have a teenager who's on their phone, this could send an alert to the parents and let them know that somebody's not paying attention to the road. So a lot of value in that as far as stopping distracted driving, but I'm also curious what you think about an AI in your car monitoring you and staring at you, keeping track of what you're doing. There is a little bit of a privacy issue there, I feel like, where I don't know. I mean, if it brings down traffic deaths, I mean, let's be honest, traffic accidents, if this could bring it down, that would be a very, very important thing. But this does go into that balance of how much privacy do we have when you're in your vehicle? Do you really want something that's going to be tracking you and reporting your every movement? What do you think about that? We're broadcasting live. I want to know what people think about these kinds of things. These are the discussions that we do need to have going forward. And again, it comes down to maybe down the line, this would be something as big of a no-brainer as the seatbelt. People didn't want a seatbelt when we originally started instituting those. Maybe this is something that's a safety feature that we just have to get used to, and we adopt, and we move on from that, and that we're going to be monitored in our vehicle to make sure that we're not distracted. Interesting discussion to have, but that's Eyesight Technologies. And they said that, these are different things that actually spoke to Digital Trends. So we actually interviewed them and talked to them, saying that this allows car manufacturers and also fleet owners to create specific responses to actions. So say it's a long haul, they used an example of a long haul truck driver who all of a sudden isn't paying attention. This would alert the trucking company or alert whoever they want if they could take action to make sure that this person pulls over if you need to pull over. Maybe you shouldn't be driving. Interesting use of tech, something to pay attention to, but again, we're talking about artificial intelligence and different ways it's being utilized to help us out, and that is Eyesight Technologies in relation to the European Union law about distracted driving. Read more about it at digitaltrends.com. Continuing on, talking about artificial intelligence and different use cases that we're seeing right now, there's another trending story that has to do with AI and Shakespeare. So Shakespeare, yes, we're going all the way back. Shakespeare, there's always been rumors and different talk about it and different theories that Bill Shakespeare didn't write all of his plays himself. That there was help in there, or that he plagiarized it, or different kinds of stipulations with that. And a lot of that, is just kind of left to history to be, well, who knows? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, maybe he had secret partners, maybe he didn't. But now AI is being used to try to settle some of those debates. So there's a Czech researcher by the name of Peter Ploščák who developed a machine learning system that will determine, they in particular did Henry VIII, which is one of the ones that's long been rumored that he had somebody else kind of helping to write on that, to help determine whether or not Shakespeare or his long suspected collaborator, John Fletcher, wrote that play. So they analyzed things. What they did is they fed it different sonnets, different things that they know Shakespeare wrote as solo. There are certain articles or certain items where they're like, okay, this was him solo. They fed the machine that. They also fed in what John Fletcher wrote. And then they use that to base all of their learning, all of that data off of that, and they read the writing styles, the different ways that it was written, in different styles that these two had, even though maybe to the human eye and the human brain, it may not be that discernible between the two. For AI, they were able to determine it. So what they did is they fed that in to try to determine how much was Shakespeare and how much was Fletcher. Turns out it was a little of both. This is what they're saying, is that based upon the writing styles, it looks like they did collaborate on it, and certain sections were Fletcher, certain sections were Shakespeare. They were able to rule out someone else too, who had been rumored to be part of it. They said that no, this person wasn't in there. But it's another case of AI where we're finding all these new uses for it, and the way that it can analyze data that just humans can't, or would be so exhaustive to even determine that. That's not something that most likely we would do. And they're looking at this in a broader picture too, and talking about plagiarism, which is a huge issue, to where you could be able to analyze somebody's writing pattern, and if they plagiarized it and just changed up the words a little bit, or whether it's an original work by an author, and that could probably settle a lot of cases. You have court cases that could maybe be partially settled with this kind of technology, but it's an interesting use. So finding out what Shakespeare wrote and what he didn't, that is what they're using this AI for. But again, that study is pretty interesting. It's trending out there today, and you can read more about it at digitaltrends.com. All right, final thing with AI has to do with your Instagram account. Do you ever wonder how Instagram decides what accounts and what pictures are shown on your Explore feature? Well, they've decided to reveal a little bit more information on how they do that today. So they had a blog post that came out just overviewing and kind of detailing some of the things that they do. Now, they didn't give everything away, but one of the big ways that they do it is using machine learning with word embedding. So the way word embedding works is it studies the order in which words appear in text to measure how related they are. So the example would be like, if you use the word fire, does it often appear next to the word alarm or truck? So it most likely would go that direction, versus their example was, pelican or sandwich. So fire, they'd use that. Goes from there to there to there. So if that's what you're looking up and that's what you like, it'll feed you things that go along those lines. So it's trying to learn things that you might like. What it does is for every account, it actually goes through the words and the things that you have liked previously and analyzes the words and the hashtags that are used within that, and then gets 500 examples that may fit into that category. Then it uses AI to whittle that down to fake accounts, spam accounts, or things that maybe weren't really related, to find an account that is similar to ones you like. So that's really what they're going for, less than an image. It's an account that they think you would like this account's posts because they most fall in line with things that you've liked previously. So they do that, and then that's what they feed into there. So they come down to 25 different posts from 25 different accounts, and then that's how you get your Explore feature. So it is based on what you're doing. There are ways that you can manipulate that and try to, if you're seeing things that you don't want to see, most likely it's because, at least according to them, you've been liking things or are going to different accounts that include content that is similar to that. So the way that you can actually control a little bit is when you're going to a picture or you see something and you're like, okay, I don't really want to see this, that see fewer posts like this drop-down menu, click that. Because they will take that into account and they will filter out based upon that, at least according to Instagram. So interesting use of AI when it comes to your Instagram account and how they're managing that. But it's not often we get to peek behind the curtain a little bit to understand how social media sites curate their data. So an interesting revelation from Instagram there. We can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. All right, let's do this. Let's take a break. So we're broadcasting live. We're here live every single day. And we'd like to bring you, all kinds of interviews, and we'd like to talk about technology and different ways it's being utilized. Coming up next, we have Anant Kalei, who is the CEO of AppZen. So we're going to talk about their utilization of AI and their AI platform and what they're using it for in different ways that can help us out. So again, artificial intelligence continuing a little bit of that theme. We're going to take a break, so stick around. We'll be right back with more Digital Trends Live.
Apollo 11, your go for separation.
TV is making history again. The groundbreaking Samsung QLED 8K.
This is Digital Trends Live. Thank you for joining us. I'm Greg Nibbler, and as always, we'd like to keep you up to date on technology and different ways it is being utilized. And artificial intelligence is certainly something that we're seeing utilized in a number of different platforms. We're going to talk about that right now in finances and managing expenses and different ways it can help us out and businesses. To do so, we have Anant Kalei, who's the CEO of AppZen. Thanks so much for joining us.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Can we give everybody an overview of what AppZen is to get that kind of a broader complex?
Sure. So AppZen is an AI platform for finance. So what does it mean? What it does is our technology using things like computer vision, natural language processing, audits all of the spend of a company in real time before the money leaves the door. So detect any kind of misuse, any kind of policy violations of fraud, or even compliance issues that might be going on.
Which is a huge issue when it comes to expensing. And let's talk about that maybe from a standpoint, too, of what kinds of things that you're seeing when it comes to the fraud side of things, when it comes to these expenses and invoices.
Sure. So let's make sure that we understand what fraud is, right? We are not here to judge what people are doing. Our job, or the machine's job, is to figure out, is there something wrong in there? And if you find something which the company doesn't allow you to spend on, it might be an upgrade to an airline ticket that you're doing, which it's out of policy, or you're buying in-room movies, of the wrong kind, or entertaining your customers or guests at places that are really questionable, right? Those are things that our machines are able to find very easily because of the ability of machines to put all this context together. Now, some of this happens intentionally, some of this happens really accidentally, but the machine's job is to find out and then present it to the finance people so that then they can take a decision. And the real goal is that how do we change behaviors? How do we make sure that employees are doing the right things? And if they are, warned about this at the right time, the assumption is that they will do the right things, and that's what we see actually happening.
Well, and you get to see it from such an amazing standpoint of getting access to all of this data. I know you've got a couple of blog posts that are up too about some of the craziest things you've seen flagged. Can you tell us a few of them?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is the number of transactions that Absen is able to see. We are the world's largest AI platform. So as a result of that, we literally have audited hundreds of billions of expenses that have run through our engine, right, across all kinds of industries. Now, we do see a different kind of things that you find from companies which are high tech to manufacturing to telecom, even media companies. We have seen people expensing, things like the trips for their spouses and girlfriends, trying to get that the company pay for that. We have seen audacious looking spa charges coming in as customer entertainment. We have obviously seen people taking their family and friends out for dinners and events and expensing that as company events. So there are all kinds of things. We have seen gift cards being purchased on the company's dime, and employees are using them in some cases, right? So there are all kinds of things. There are things also which are of high value, but probably happen more of accidentally. We have seen employees who are reimbursed multiple times, duplicate payments because employees pay through a corporate card and then again find that receipt and gets send that for reimbursement. So there are a lot of duplicate payments that happen, which Absen is able to stop in real time so that they don't that money doesn't go out the door. And then we have seen compliance issues. We have seen guests being entertained or companies interacting with folks who might be questionable in nature. They might be related to political activity or things that might be violations of FCPA laws and so on and so forth, right? So it's all over the spectrum, right from things which are duplicates or payments that should not have been made, all the way to things that you should not buy or should not have your employees spend on.
I mean, that's a lot of analyzation, and I'm sure a huge help. I mean, and talking about the complexity of laws and regulations too, compliance, and just understanding how much that changes. Is that something that you're constantly updating so that everybody's on top of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the power behind AI and why machines are and our engine is able to do it, where humans cannot, is because of the exhaustive nature of research and context that the machine can do. For example, being able to read every receipt that is out there that an employee submits, right, and reading it, not just trying to figure out what's the total amount, what is being reimbursed, but detecting every line item of every receipt, the time the transaction took place, or the place the transaction took place. What did they actually buy? Did they buy bottles of vodka or shots of vodka out here, or versus was there a normal meal? What do the reviews say for those particular merchants? Right, all this is information that only a machine can thoroughly do and do it within a couple of seconds or minutes and figure out a result. There's no way a human can actually do that. So our technology is more about making those people in finance really efficient, because a machine does all the work and then presents to them, hey, here is the problem that we have found. What do you want to do with it?
So, and that's a tremendous value, having all that information. I know this time of year, in particular, I was taking a look at what some of Absen's studies showed, is that this time of year, being the fall, going into the new year and all of that, that people are gifting a lot during this time. Can you talk about some of the findings that you had from that and some of the statistics in association with it?
Sure. December and the holiday season is always a very interesting time. It's normally the time where you see the most amount of expenses being reimbursed. A part of it is because of the holidays that people are catching up on the receipts, but a part of it is also because this is the time when a lot of spend, gifts, meals, entertainment actually occur, right? So what we did was we aggregated a lot of the spend data that we had during the holiday season among hundreds of millions of transactions. We anonymized that and aggregated it to figure out what the trends were. And gifts were particularly areas where we found a lot more changing. So it turns out that gifts are generally out of policy or things that companies don't want their employees to spend on during in the normal course of business, right? And we always find those transactions. It could be a gift card that somebody has bought, or somebody is trying to reload their Starbucks card. Lots of things happening every month. But during the month of December, when we looked at this data, we found that this had increased about 9 times. The normal things that we find, which are out of policy on an average in the rest of the year, in December alone, this was 9 times that particular spend. What that means is that employees are spending more on gifts, they are buying gifts, but not all of that is really approved by the company. And that's why when Absent finds it, the companies are detecting that to be, hey, this is not something that we approved or authorized, and we want to stop it, right? So gifts were a big part of that. But along with that, it also came to rest of the expenses that are generally go up much higher during the holiday season around meals. Turns out that people spend more on experiences during the holiday season rather than just providing gifts. So a lot of meals occur. These meals are generally could be with employees, could be with customers, could be with partners. But what we found that, again, the meals that did not meet the policies of the company, those amounts alone exceeded more than 7 times what happens in the rest of the year. So very high numbers in both those cases.
So definitely a good time to pay attention to that, a little bit closer to what those expense reports are saying. Well,
absolutely.
Well, enough for everybody out there who wants to utilize this too. I just want to give everybody a direction to go to. What's the best place for them to start taking a look at your products and your suite of platforms?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way to think about expenses is that we got to make sure that we're consistent about it, right? And trying to put people out there to look at expense reports doesn't really work. We have seen that among thousands of customers that we have. So the best way to do that is put an engine which will do it in an automated way, which will do it consistently across all expense reports, which don't have a bias and preconceived notions about who is going to violate or who's going to spend, right? And that's what Absent really brings in. Absent is connected with all expense report platforms out there, any kind of invoicing platform, accounts payable platform, and we are able to take that decision within minutes of somebody submitting it. So not only do we get 100% real-time auditing of expenses before the money leaves the door, you get it on a consistent basis. You are helping improve the experience that employees have, because the people who are doing the right thing get paid faster, and employees save a ton of time, managers save a ton of time that they would usually spend in approving expense reports. So you can see entire trends about how we have looked at all this holiday spend on a blog post on our website, and also look at the demos that our applications have. And we are happy to help with any of those questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us here to talk about this, and very illuminating as far as some of those details on that. And definitely pay attention to your expense report next time when you're uploading something. Well, Anand, thank you so much for joining us here on Digital Trends Live.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, so fascinating use case there, talking about businesses, and if you're managing all those expenses, yeah, you want to know that everything is actually being done properly according to your company rules. So again, that's just some of the tech that we've talked about today. So looking at today's episode of Digital Trends Live, going back, Adrian Warner, of course, in here in the beginning, we were talking about some of the things going on with Tesla Cybertruck, that you can follow up on that at digitaltrends.com. We had David Snyder in. We talked about those eye monitoring systems that may be implemented in Europe. Just a sampling of what we've covered today, and Drew Prindle with the debut of awesome tech you can't buy yet. So all of those different products are things that you can check out at digitaltrends.com. So on tomorrow's Digital Trends Live, Leonard Kim will be joining us to talk about his new book, Ditch the Act, and how brands should be in the practice of being authentic and speaking to followers with humility. And we'll also have smart home editor John Velasco's on tomorrow talking about the new Amazon Echo Studio and how the sound quality could likely surprise you. And Jonathan Beck, the founder and CEO of GiveList, will be on the show. So GiveList provides all the background on nonprofits that you need to know in order to give wisely this holiday season. And we have, of course, all of the breaking technology news of the day. So you can join us at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, every Monday through Friday, wherever you consume content. So please subscribe and tune in. Digital Trends, I'm Greg Nibbler. I'll see you right back here tomorrow.